Hey everybody, it's Susan with Susan Monroe Art, and today in my calendar sketchbook we are going to be drawing and painting the fabulous Fox Theater that is here in Atlanta. This is my armchair urban sketching, as I call it, where I take photos and then come back to the comfort of my home and sketch things in my armchair or at my art desk. The Fox is just an icon here. I've been to lots of plays and movies there. It's a really cool building. It was done in the Moroccan style, and it's still standing today. I love this red marquee. I just think it's just really cool. I love the old-fashioned feeling of the theater, and it just made me want to sketch it and remember it. So let's go ahead and get going with that. But first, please give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and consider subscribing to my channel and clicking the bell icon if you'd like to see more of my videos and be notified when they come out, which is generally once a week. But thanks again for watching, and let's get busy painting. To get started, I'm just using a regular pencil, nothing special, just a number 2 pencil like you used back in school, making sure it's sharp. And I'm going to sketch first in pencil. I always put down everything that way first so I can correct my mistakes and erase whatever I want to erase. And this sketchbook that I'm using is not a watercolor sketchbook. I find with a watercolor sketchbook, a lot of the time, I just am too careful because that watercolor paper can be expensive, and I find that I just want to make everything perfect in it. And so this is a nice sketchbook. I can't remember the name. Hang on, I'm looking for it right now. Scribbles That Matter. Scribbles That Matter is the name of this type of sketchbook, but it's got nice thick paper. It's also got dots in it that help me make my straight lines straight, and I always appreciate that. If I were doing serious artwork, of course, I wouldn't have dots on the paper, but for this, I really like it. So this is my working photo of the Fox Theater in downtown Atlanta. I love this theater, as I said. I've been to see things in it many times, and it's just a really cool place. It's done in the Moroccan style, which is sort of unusual, and it was the very first building to be air-conditioned here in Atlanta. If you want people to go see a movie, put in air conditioning when nobody else has it. I bet that place was packed all the time. So I'm starting by, you can see I put some long lines all the way across, trying to catch the angle that goes down to my vanishing point on the right with some long lines, and now I'm popping in more of the verticals. I always like to get my angles for the vanishing point in first, and I really don't use a perspective technique other than viewing my relationships on the page, and by that I mean the length of that sign. Is it measuring up properly with where it is in the photo? The right end of the sign ends a little past that second turret. The left end of the sign is going to end under the Fox Theater. It is about as wide as the Fox Theater sign, but not as long. So I just really look at all the relationships of things and make sure they are in harmony on the page. If something is underneath and to the left of something in the photo, I want to make sure it's underneath and the left of something in my drawing. And I find that just really works well for me, just to get the perspective correct. Now I'm going to start inking my pencil drawing. Since I've done a careful pencil drawing, the inking is pretty easy, and I love doing this. It's just tracing over the lines. The one thing I do watch for is I use thicker lines for things that are closer to you and thinner lines for things that are further away. And to accomplish that, I have pens in different widths. The type of pen I use is called Uni Pen. I have it linked down below. And the thinnest size I use is 0.05. The thickest I used in this one, I believe, is 0.3. So it just gives that illusion of distance when you use a thinner line for further away and a thicker line for close up. It's also an illusion of distance and color if you use paler colors further away and brighter colors closer up. Just some cool ways to give some depth to your paintings when you're doing them. Now this is where I realized I had made a mistake in my drawing, and I had left out these flags that are on the front of the theater. So I took my pencil and quickly drew them in, and you can see I've got ink lines behind them. So then if you mess up with your ink drawing, you're sort of left with the problem of, how do I fix that? You can't erase the ink, and I use my white gel pen to do that. You can see I go back in, I go over my ink lines, just over the ink lines. I don't fill in the whole area, and it works really as a nice little eraser to correct those places. I don't use it on huge areas, but for small spaces where you've made a mistake, a white fine liner is nice to have, and you can paint over top of it. I've never had a problem with it looking out of place or anything. I'm coming back in with a pencil too, because the Fox Theater is striped. It's got 2 colors of beige bricks in it, which I think is pretty cool. And that also adds to the Moroccan feel of the place. So I came back in with my pencil to put those in. I didn't want to put them in ink because I didn't want them to be quite so noticeable. And after I've gone in with my gum eraser and erased all the other unimportant lines, my pencil lines from my drawing, I'm ready to start watercoloring. The watercolor is my favorite part of every drawing. I just love putting it in. And if you'll notice the photo, the theater was backlit, so the light was coming from behind the theater and put the front in shadow. And I had to think a little bit about how I wanted to show that. If something is backlit, how do I represent that? And I decided to just go in and cover the front lightly with my all-purpose shadow color, which is ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, and alizarin crimson. I generally really like to put my shadow colors in first. I don't always, but typically, because if I have my body color down, my main colors on my painting, and then I go back over them with a large wash of my shadow color, like I'd have to do in this, I'm having to go over several different colors with my shadow color. It tends to soften the edges and they don't look as crisp. So it's just easier for me to put my shadow color in and then put my main colors on top of it. Then I can always darken it if I want to later. I can darken it with the main color of the item, or I can put in a little more shadow color. And here I've mixed up a nice dark color using ultramarine blue and sepia. Blues and browns together really make nice darks, and I like using that instead of using just a black out of a tube, because the colors tend to separate a little bit on the paper and you get more interest. It just has a little more depth than just a pure black. As a matter of fact, I would recommend that you never use a pure black in your watercolors. So ultramarine blue and burnt sienna is a great one that you can use to make a dark. Another good dark is alizarin crimson and phthalo green. They make a really nice dark as well. They can get very black and it's a little cooler in color. Time to paint the stripes. I really like doing this part. I thought it made the building sort of come alive. But what I'm really looking forward to is painting that fox sign red, because to me that is just the focal point of the theater. The red of the fox sign and also the blue of the marquee. I like that as well. It's one of the things that drew me to photographing this for this painting. I made my red color using alizarin crimson, Scarlet Lake, and just a touch of sepia to give it that dark red color. Sepia is one of those paint colors that I don't know what I did before I started using it. And it was introduced to me maybe 2 years ago, and I love that color. It mixes with everything. It's great for toning things down. It's great for using in shadows like I'm doing here. But I'm all for using the colors that you already have. I don't mean to tell anybody you've got to go out and buy this color. But if you are looking for a great color to add, I would recommend sepia. I think mine is a Daniel Smith brand of paint, which has got a lot of pigment in it. They're really great. Another color that I find that I use a good bit is this Naples yellow. It's an opaque, pale yellow. If you're needing to paint some hair, if you're needing to make a taupe color of any kind, I don't know, I've just found that color to be really handy as well. And that's a Winsor & Newton color that I have. Another color I've just added to my palette is turquoise. I've started mixing the turquoise with Winsor blue for the skies, and it just turns out so pretty. The turquoise is a Daniel Smith color as well. And that's what I'm mixing here to do for this sky. It was sort of a cloudy day, but the sky was breaking through the clouds, and I really wanted to make the sky look very active and busy, and I think that's what I achieved here. I like how the sky looked. Then I used my technique to blow the edge with a straw to make these just rivers of color come out. I'm not sure that that was the right thing to do for this painting though, because the sky was already really busy, and I don't think you really noticed the effect as much as you could. Finally, I'm going in and filling in these little background pieces, and I'm just about done with my painting. I have to go in though and put in what was on the marquee. Since it was during COVID, it says something about COVID and staying 6 feet apart. Oh, play it safe, Atlanta, 6 feet apart. But that's okay. I'll remember that time when I see this painting. So here we go. It's pretty much done. A few more stripes in there. I hope that you've learned something with this video. I hope that you'll go out and try some urban sketching on your own, or armchair urban sketching like I like to do, where you just have a photo you've taken and you can do it in the comfort of your armchair at home. There's nothing wrong with that. Please subscribe and click the bell icon if you'd like to be notified when I have other videos up, and give this video a thumbs up. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.